To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is Reverend Shawn Whittington's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Reverend Shawn the Rev. Welcome to my haunted house, my very haunted house. But today, it's been unusually quiet for showtime, and I have a theory. I think today my ghosts have found serenity. Bum bum. Thank you very much. I'll be here all week. Did you like that? uh, I know why you all tuned in. She's in the green room. I will get to her as soon as I can. It's going to be a great show. Uh, anyway, let's get to the mail. Let's get to the prayer urn. Oh, wait a minute. I know what I want to do. I want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day. I'm staring right at. I wasn't going to do this. Well, happy Mother's Day to my mother. May she rest in peace. And my two older sisters, Pam and Paula. And that is me. And after all of these years, even from the other side of the veil, and even though my sisters, well, one lives here in town, the other is in California, they still act like they're my mothers. God bless them both. I love them both. But they are all great mothers. And happy Mother's Day to my wife, Sharon, who's also raised three wonderful children. She's a great mother, too. And a happy Mother's Day to all of you mothers out there, including our mother, Mary. So I hope it's a blessed weekend for all of you. Let's see what I got in the prayer urn here today. My mom's talking to me right now. Okay. Tammy D from Washington. Rev, I'm a non baptized Christian that needs to go to confession. How do I do that? Recently born again. Well, God bless you, Tammy. You need confession, do you? Okay, listen, I'll keep it simple and go with what I know. Find a Catholic church, the closest one to you that offers confessions, taking confessions. And they usually do that on a Saturday. Make time for your schedule to get down there to the church. Go in there. You should be able to find which confessional the priest is giving his, um, his taking confessions out of. Wait in line. There's usually a line, but if there's not, you wait till your turn. Go into the booth. There's two booths on the sides of his confessional. Kneel down in front of the window. He'll eventually open it up and say, put whatever blessing they put on you and whatever he's going to say to you to tell you to go ahead with your confession. And I always start with, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been yada, yada, yada. That's how long it's been since I've been to confession, a year, a week, a day. And then you just let it all hang out. Be honest and don't worry about saying anything that's the priest hasn't heard before. So you bare your soul in there. And if you're not familiar with many prayers, Catholic prayers, get you one of these, a Catholic book of prayers, because your penance is going to be reciting some prayers. He's going to give you penance after he absolves you of your sins, and you're going to go out into one of the pews in the church and you're going to pray those prayers. So have a book with you, if you don't know a lot of Catholic prayers. You didn't ask for this, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to offer up a confessional prayer for you. Okay, Tammy? In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. This is for Tammy. Receive my confession, O most loving and gracious Lord Jesus Christ, only hope for the salvation of my soul. Grant me the contrition of soul, so that day and night I may by penance make satisfaction for my sins. Savior of the world, O good Jesus, who gave yourself to the death of the cross to save sinners, look upon me, most wretched of all sinners. Have pity on me, and give me the light to know my sins, true sorrow for them, and a firm purpose of never committing them again. O gracious Virgin, Mary, Immaculate Mother of Jesus, I implore you to obtain for me by your powerful intercession these graces from your divine Son. St. Joseph, pray for me. God bless you, Tammy. Have a wonderful confession this Sunday and have a happy Mother's Day. Let me check the Paranormal Ministry mailbag. Boom. Yeah, there is one in there. Andrew B. from Utah. Rev, scariest place you've ever investigated, haunted location you've been to. Well, that's going to be pretty easy. It's a tie. It's two of them. One's a local residence here. It's a mansion in a very old area of Las Vegas. The real estate agent there, every time he tried to sell it, all the spirits in there would act up so much that it would scare potential buyers off. So he asked us to come in, and my wife and I had been there a dozen or so times investigating, and half a dozen or so disembodied spirits, elementals out on the property, a malevolent entity, probably demonic, in the upstairs of the place. So that was a very active place, and I will never forget it. I can't give the name out because it is a private residence, and there are people living there now. They've eventually found somebody that they liked, and they allowed to buy the home. So, second place I would have to say, hands down, Marta Beckett's Amargosa Hotel and Opera House in Death Valley Junction, California. Still open. You can go and stay there. You can get tours of the Opera House. When late at night, you can get out of your room and go wandering around, do a little ghost hunting. Be careful. Um, every room is extremely active there, so much so that there's rooms they don't even rent out anymore. And there's areas like Sleepy or Spooky Hollow they don't even let you go into anymore because the spirits back there are angry. But there's a lot of good spirits there too. My wife and I were sitting on a bench after a night of investigating there, sitting on a bench out front of the hotel overlooking a courtyard. And there's a big hedge, long hedge, along the only road in and out of Death Valley Junction. And we see a couple walking by. And I commented to my wife, yeah, there is somebody else staying here because we hadn't seen anybody all night. And then I thought, well, if they're not staying here and we see them on the road, we'll ask them if they need a ride somewhere because we're out in the middle of nowhere. And when they got to the end of the hedge, and walked across the driveway, it was just two upper torsos. Both apparitions had no legs, and they floated right across the driveway. And my wife and I talked about that all the way home. Pretty interesting. So that's Marta Beckett's, may she rest in peace, Amargosa Hotel and Opera House in Death Valley Junction. Okay, if there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. Remember that my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping with our people with their paranormal issues. So I know times are tough. But if you go there to visit and you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send in a small donation. I promise you, it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we will put it to good use. In addition to being an ordained exorcist, I'm also a certified spiritual advisor. So if you're having issues of a spiritual nature not attached to the paranormal, and you'd like to make an appointment with the Rev to speak to me about those issues, there's an area there, there's a place on the website where you can make an appointment to speak with me. But don't leave the website without navigating over to the page called the WSE course/book. On that page, you'll find the ghost store. Lots of cool things to buy if you go for that sort of stuff. But scroll down to the bottom of the page and you'll see my new haunted autobiography, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry. And I quote, scariest book I ever published. That was Annette Munich, owner of Stellium Books, my publisher. But don't let that scare you off of purchasing a copy. It's a very different kind of feel-good story where there's a lot of good versus evil where good wins. But the best part about the book is if you haven't done your good deed for the day yet, part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my book goes to support stjude.org, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital in Nevada, and the ASPCA, so you get to help the animals too. So those are all good things. So your money goes to some good causes if you purchase the book. You can get an autographed copy enclosed in a house blessing kit on the website, or you can get it a little less expensive on Amazon. Scroll a little further down, you'll see the Worldwide Society of Exorcists, which I'm a founding member. I offer a college level online course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, through the WSE. And this is the course for all you true warriors for Christ that feel a calling and a longing to want to have more knowledge when it comes to drawing your line in the sand, circling the wagons, and putting up a good fight against, God forbid, true evil if it ever comes calling. That's the course for you. If you want to know more about the course before making that type of commitment, there's a Worldwide Society Exorcist um, Facebook page. You can go and read about the course, or you can just call me and talk to me about the course if you'd like to do that. All of my students that graduate get a stunning diploma, certificate of completion, suited for framing, along with some other very special blessed gifts that you can only get from yours truly. Most importantly, please keep all of my former, current, and future students in your prayers. Thank you. All right, the reason why you all tuned in today. Got Serenity? Ready to get your shaman on? You all know her, you all love her. Without further ado, brothers and sisters, please welcome to the show the one and only Serenity Jenny. Serenity, are you there?
Hello, how are you?
I am doing good, and I told you this in the green room, and I have to tell you again, you look so pretty today, and you sound, I don't know what kind of mic or setup you got there, but you sound like you're in the room with me here. So if you catch me looking around, it might be the ghost, but it's probably
Wow.
because you sound like you're right here too. And they are unusually quiet today. Usually they get active at showtime, but you have that effect. So yeah, I don't know what else to say to you other than listen, people tune in for my guests. So this is your show. Talk about anything you want to talk about. Have fun because I'm going to want you to come back. But I do have some questions for you. Friends of yours, followers have sent
Absolutely.
me in questions. Um, the first one right off the bat, you know what? You and I both have this in common, and you also have this in common with my wife, near death experience survivor. And I wrote down a times five for you.
That's
Is that
correct.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, there's a reason why people come back from these near death experiences. I don't know why we call them near death experience. It's like you're a near death, you died. So
You
you're a
died.
near death survivor or a death survivor. So we have to work on thinking of a different term for that.
I
But
agree.
my wife came back with a strong sensitivity to spirit. Some people do and don't even realize they did. Some people know why they came back. Some people don't know why, but I believe there's a reason for all of this. Talk to us all about some of the those death experiences that you survived, why you think perhaps you did survive, and what you feel you brought back with that. Because I know that there is some type of afterlife, other side residue that stays with us, that we bring back with us from these experiences. And I can just feel there's people out there that want to hear this from you.
Well, my good dear friend, I just loved you the moment I heard your voice, and I knew we resonated on that level already. And I was like, he knows. And you can resonate with other people who know. You can hear it in their inflections of their voice. But I almost call it like an afterlife upgrade. Like you get, another chip put in every time you step out through the veil and come back. And these near death experiences, I actually have more than five. Five are confirmed, and there's probably like maybe 10 total. But, when we first started counting them and I realized that, I had all these near death experiences, I was already a psychic child. I was just very eccentric. So, I have this really high IQ. I flew under the radar. So anything that happened to me is because I was clumsy or I was really eccentric. And my pastor in my church, just so you know, I thought he was the swim coach until I was 10. Honestly, that's how many times I got dunked, because my mom just had me baptized, right? Because all these things happen to me all the time. I jumped through a plate glass screen door when I was 3 years old. I almost severed my femoral artery. My mother sewed me back together. All the things, the big 5 near-death experiences started when I was 19, but I had so many, we didn't really even start counting until, oh, wait, I'm dying and coming back. There's a reason for this. So at 19, I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and I got 22 feet of my intestines removed. And at that time, that was an extremely big surgery. So the actual terminology of what I've gotten was an ileoanal anastomosis with a J pouch, which means I had all of my small intestine removed, all of my large intestine, and everything reconstructed. So after 17 hours of surgery, when I came back a little bit different, no one knew why. I was very, let's just say my ability to have hope was at a depth that I've never seen anybody's. And my mom's like, you're going to be in the hospital for a month, and this is how you're going to live your life in a V shape in a hospital bed. And I'm 19 years old, and I'm like, well, am I better? Did this make me better? It did make me better on a different level, not physical right away. And I've carried the Crohn's disease label for 20 plus years, almost 26 years now, I think. But I'm an empath. So empaths channel energy through that sacral chakra, right? So what did they learn from that near-death experience? That man took out all those intestines. They were affected. Yes, I had Crohn's disease, but guess what? I was having the same symptomology. So did they fix the problem? No, they didn't. It wasn't a physical problem. It manifested like that, but it was an energy problem. So second near-death experience under Western medicine, and God bless every nurse, doctor, pharmacist. There's a lot of benefit I get from Western medicine, but every time I take a darn medicine, I die. I do not do Western medicine well. So I was getting an infusion the second time. And when you get an infusion, a lot of times it's in a chemotherapy area. You get Remicade treatment. Every different patient has a different drip coming into them, right? So my second one, I'm having my drip and my Remicade, and everybody's talking and we're kibitzing. And I said, I feel hot. And my sister had just left me there. She dropped me off to get the infusion. And I said, I don't think I feel good. And I remember looking at the nurse saying, I think I'm going to die. I said, did you give my sister a pager? Can she come back? Because I said, I feel hot. I think I'm dying.
Wow.
They laughed at me. I'm a 20-year-old kid. I'm in all these poor people who have cancer. I'm in their ward and I'm just getting a Remicade infusion, right? But I'm actually telling everybody on the floor I'm dying. And I coded probably about 30 seconds after that. So my poor sister took the pager a little bit too far out of the hospital's range. So she didn't get back in time. I was in the ER when she came back. So that upgrade, afterlife upgrade chip, I think that one's probably going to be one of the most significant. I think I started seeing God then in everything, and hearts and love and numbers, and the synchronicities went up tremendously. But the next one takes the cake. The third near-death experience, I could not get pregnant because of the Crohn's disease, because of the pouch, because of the Western medicine they had given to me. My body was toxified. I got pregnant with a miraculous child who, some people say he's a light conception because of my conception date. And, there's so many days between the act and the conception date. Well, mine exceeds that pretty significantly. And when I had different spiritual work done and different journeys and different chiefs and elders and just lay their hands on me, they told me my son was special. And I said, I believe that. And I know that to be a truth, because when I was giving birth to this miracle baby, which, God told me, I'm going to give you a child. This is going to happen. You're going to deliver him. I did, but neither one of us lived through that process. So I could see him outside of his body going the wrong way. So I actually had to instruct him to go spiritually the right way. And I can remember him crying. So I knew his soul got back to his body. Mine did not. But this is probably one of the best feelings I've ever had. I laid back into what felt like a cloud. And every burden, every worry, I'm a survivor of childhood sexual trauma. So all that hate, that heavy burden of anger, and it just left my body. Everything left me immediately. And when I heard that little boy cry, I thought, oh, I did my job. He's here. He's alive. I'm just going to lay down for a little bit. And I remember that room being very cold. ORs are really usually cold because of the equipment. It was the warmest, most loving embrace and really just like soul sustaining. It literally felt like it held up my soul, whatever that force was, which I call it God, good orderly direction. I mean, I honor people's whatever they refer to their higher power as. I worked in drug and alcohol for 6 years. So higher power looks a lot different for a lot of different people. And I respect that. And whatever that was, I felt it. I felt it support me completely. So, you know, my mom's Native American, she's Blackfoot and Cherokee. And I was
Wow.
raised with a lot of those beliefs too, right? I get my shaman honest. I do. My dad laid hands and my mom was Native American. I was not getting out of this normal, but I wanted to be a therapist and a professor. And God was like, you're so cute. Can you please get to work now? But that was after 5 near-death experiences and a 20-year identity crisis, I think. I thought that's what that was. But medication reaction was number 4 again. I kept trying to convince the doctors I did not do well under Western medicine, and they refused to believe me. So again, I reacted to a medication infusion, which it stopped my heart. It like, they asked me if I run marathons, and I'm a bigger built girl. I'm like, if I'm running, someone's chasing me or something is chasing me. So no. And, you know, my heart rate just, I remember talking to one of my friends right before it happened, and he was saying something about, I just wanted to hope you have a good day today. And I said, you too. I said, will you say the St. Francis prayer with me? And that was the last thing I remember. You know, near death number 4 is real interesting, or 5 is really interesting too. It was 10/28 of 2015, which I again had 2 surgeons up to their elbows in my guts for 12 hours. Unprecedented surgery. They're going back into my abdomen to basically give me a radical hysterectomy because it was going to save my life and because I had bleeding issues, and they were going to take out 20 years of adhesions. Well, that experience from 10/28, and I died on Halloween that time. So I had the surgery on 10/28. I stabilized the evening of 10/28 into 10/29. I did not crash until the evening of Halloween. Now, you know, and I know that's a real thin veil. And I'm on the point in Pittsburgh. There's 4 rivers there, not 3. Most people think there's 3. There's 4. And that was the only time I went down instead of up. And and when I say that, I went into, this is not an easy one to talk about. I went down. Now, I'm Susie Sunshine, right? Like I can I'm the eternal optimist. I can ring a drop of sunshine out of anything. When I start going down, I'm thinking to myself, uh-oh, Houston, we got a problem. I didn't sign up for this. I don't want to go down. I want to go up. So I saw these entities and they started ripping my light out, right? Or so I thought. This was my perception at the time. So I saw them clawing at me, you know, and they're pulling my energy, just shredding it. And I thought to myself, God, what did I do? I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was on the right path. Why is this happening? And I don't really have a recollection after that until about, I'd say 8 months later. And in a vision, that was the only near-death experience that I had to go down instead of up because the vibrational work that needed to happen couldn't happen on any other dimensional level. So I kind of had to shake my head a second and readjust everything that I've ever believed about entities and the grading of entities that we have and how they look and how they function. I had to reassess all of that because of that last near-death experience. And I'll be honest with you, that changed my perspective on a lot of things. I mean, I still do what I do, and I do it because I feel like I've been given the gift of life still here. To be a mother, because I wanted a baby more than anything in this world, and I was able to deliver that baby because of the grace of God, and that, you know, we're all fighting for the greater good. So whatever that needs to have happen to carry that light forward and, you know, do what I need to do that. That's why I've been given so many chances at life. I just needed to get it right.
Wow, that a couple of those stories gave me goosebumps. How is your son?
My son just turned 16 2 weeks ago.
You doing okay?
His name is Adam. Rightly so, right?
Yeah. Are you guys going to do anything together on Mother's Day?
We are. He's going to cook. He took me out to dinner last night. I'm actually in West Virginia. We have an event tonight, and tomorrow. We have a day of Cosmic Connections tomorrow, and I'm speaking here down in Richwood. But we're all going to be together on Mother's Day celebrating. And I have a special thing for Facebook planned too for Mother's Day.
Oh, very cool, very cool. Yeah, I usually get a free meal out of Mother's Day because two of my wife's children still live in town here, and they usually take her out to eat on Mother's Day, and then I always tag along, and then they just offer to pay my meal, and I go, oh, okay. Um,
That's
so,
awesome.
wow. I like, I would like to know in your if you have an answer to this, and if you, there's no wrong answer, why do you think that particular time um, you went down?
So we heal in layers, I think, vibrationally, trauma wise, the body starts with the energy body, the emotional body, and then works on the physical body. At least in my experience, it does. And I think, we could build up trauma barriers through life. They are going to build up in layer by layer. They're going to have to come off layer by layer. And vibrationally, whatever put that trauma in there is what it needs to come off. And that made sense to me with what I was dealing with personally, with a history of abuse. I mean, I have a history of domestic violence, and these all healed in layers psychologically, emotionally. And then, when the added spiritual overlay is there and the energetic overlay, it starts to make sense that that vibrational healing is going to occur at different levels.
Because the demonic feed off of all of that negativity, and many times they use a lot of the types of things that happened to you that were traumatic growing up. They use those as excuses and reasons to latch onto and enter into a person's life. And then you throw in the fact that it was Halloween, and then uh, do you think you may have already had this vision too? I don't know, but if you haven't had this vision, do you think a time will come where you will see, whether it be in a dream state or an actual vision, or your guardian angel will appear to you as a real person and tell you what happened? Do you remember what pulled you out of that?
Well, I saw pink rose petals coming out of the top of the ceiling of the hospital, and I actually thought that I was dead again. And I was like, oh no. So I just remember pushing the morphine button again, right? Because I have a morphine button in this hand and I had another button in this hand. So I started pressing the morphine button, and I remember calling the nurses on accident because I had the wrong call button in that hand. And when I was like waking up, I was like, uh-oh, what just happened? She's like, you're all stabilized. Everything's good. Why are you ringing? I just incessantly rang the nurse bell. And I said, I was pressing the medication button. She said, you're good. You don't need any more medication. You can press that once every 8 minutes, I think. And I said, well, those rose petals that are falling out of the ceiling, that's not good. I have to be like delirious to be seeing them. And she laughed. She looked up and she laughed. She's like, there's no rose petals in here. She said, but if you say it, I believe it. Because they had already known who I was and why I was there. And it was, I make friends fast a lot of times when you start talking about miracles and, passed over loved ones, and you make friends fast. So, coming out of that and really having that experience, you know, made me reflect on so many things I had maybe judged even throughout my career and what I was doing now, that I had to reassess because, contracts are real. I call those soul fractures or soul cracks, what you're talking about, where the trauma resides, where the entity can actually attach. So, we refer to them as points of origin for the attachment when we clear the attachment. But it's interesting because sometimes somebody else is involved on a spiritual level or a soul level in a contract. And as I'm healing some family and maybe some karmic personal things, I think that had to happen like that because it wouldn't have been resolved in any other manner. And I just had a sibling pass away as well. So
Oh,
I'm getting some, and God bless her. She fought a really long road with addiction. And that's why I went into addictions counseling in the beginning. And she was extremely gifted, but she's at peace now. And my goodness, does she know how I call my spirits that are gatekeepers. They regulate all the information coming in. I'm sure you understand that, back and forth, right? She decided she was going to be my new gatekeeper, and she's really letting me know how things work up there.
That's why I always tell people all the time right now how important it is to forgive and to let go and to move on and not speak ill of the dead. Don't speak ill of anybody else. Try and just, surround yourself with love and light because they're everywhere. And I think right now people are so violent in not only in their actions and in the way they speak to each other and speak about one another to their face or behind their back. The demonic is just feeding on all of that, and that's why things are just the way they are right now in many parts of the world. But that's why I tell people all the time, you got to let that stuff go because that all that really lower vibrational negativity that you latch onto that you won't let go. You don't have to forget why. You don't have to forget those experiences, but you got to find a way to forgive the experiences and let them go, or um, it's just not good. Um, Obviously, you call them gatekeepers. I refer to them. Well, I think there's different levels of them too. Some of them I think are spirit guides, and I think
Mm-hmm.
I have animal spirit guides, and I have spirit guides that were probably ancestral, that are still around. I do believe in actual guardian angels. I think I've seen mine twice, and one time, the third time, I just heard her voice, and it was the instructions that she actually gave me during a severe demonic attack that got me out of that situation. But the other two times I saw her were situations where I was dying, I was going to die, and seeing her and listening to her got me out of those situations. And she looks like, I kid you not, a young Susan Sarandon, like from Rocky Horror Picture Susan Sarandon. And to this day, it's a running people that have known me all my life that love me and my wife too. Whenever she pops on TV, like I'll be in the office working and I'll hear my wife laugh and go, "Honey, come here, your angel's on TV." And I don't
Oh,
even go out there because I know she's either stumbled upon the Witches of Eastwick or Thelma and Louise or something like that. And I know that she's just seen Susan Sarandon on TV, but she looks just like her. Have you met and seen and had any interaction with any of your I'll just say guardian angels, but gatekeepers? Have you actually sat and seen any of them and talked to any of them?
many of them, in the beginning. There's quite a trajectory to that for me. Willow was one of my first, Serapis Bay and Willow was first set of my guides. And I wanted my own. I'm like, I want to know my guardian angel's name. This is way early on, right? Like I'm sitting down, I'm intentioning. I want to know. And I get the name Ish. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I can't even get a whole name. I only got Ish, a name Ish. Really? And it was quite some time until Ishmael revealed himself. And then Ishmael led me to the divine feminine counterpart that he had, which was Ishtar. And I was like, wow, this is getting interesting quick. So it started me on this huge trajectory of knowing all these guides and spirits and ascended masters and then council members and then liquid light beings. And it goes more galactic and more galactic as time goes on. In my last ignition attunement process, my parents were there, and I've seen Jesus so many times I can count the hairs on his face. The last time was so intense that I had broken my leg. It was the day before I opened my center. I know I broke my leg because I worked on the ambulance and I had a deformed extremity. The tibula fibula area was deformed, so I knew I broke my leg. I was just about ready to open the center the next day, right? And I fall 6.5 feet through the steps onto the concrete floor. I knew it was an attack. I felt something wrap its tentacle around my leg and pull me through the steps. I immediately put my hands on my leg. I said, Reiki, 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 Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And he was right in front of me. And it was bright white. And he had flannel on jeans. And I thought I was going to be in trouble because he was fishing. But I saw him like in high def, like high
Yeah,
definition,
yeah.
like
Isn't it?
It was insane.
You can't even describe what
No.
those visions are
Mm-mm.
like. It's just, yeah, it's just it's not it's it makes even watching a movie on TV boring. Your
It,
most favorite movies, the most exciting movies that you loved all your life. It just makes all of that stuff. And the music. You can never remember what the music is, but listening to music, like I have bands that have been from childhood, my favorite bands of all time, that I used to sneak out of the house and hitchhike downtown to go watch the concerts because I was too young to go. My parents wouldn't let me. But I mean, bands I loved, and I still love them. But when you have divine intervention episodes like that, there's all you know that you heard some music. You can't remember what it was, but music's never the same.
hmm
And watching anything is never the same. Watching uh, the most beautiful sunrise or sunset, or the most beautiful sky full of stars, or what you don't listen or see anything the same again. And you can't describe, you just can't put it into words what that is, but it's like triple dipper mojo strength, high def. I don't know. But yeah, it's an incredible situation, and yeah, those were just. And you mentioned Reiki. I
Yeah.
call it Reiki.
hmm
Um, I'm not too familiar with that. I'm big on. I know that the laying of hands on are part of that.
hmm
And I must do that more often than I even realize I do it, because
I'm sure.
I lay hands on a lot of things just to bless them, and I don't
Oh
think
yeah.
in terms of realigning the chakra, and I'm you know doing all that. A woman just opened, the nicest woman you'd want to ever meet, just opened up a spiritual shop. We've got a bunch of them here in town,
Ooh.
around the corner from me, and she's a Reiki master.
hmm
I've wanted My wife's a three-time, well, several time near death survivor, but she's also she came back from a severe demonic attack with three very rare forms of cancer, which for years we fought, and thank you Jesus that it's all gone now. But I wanted to take her there for that, because she has shown, she's Lutheran, I'm Catholic. She's shown an interest in that, and we both are very supportive of each other. So I was going to surprise her and make an appointment to take her in there. Talk to me about visiting someone like you or another Reiki master, what that is all about, and the benefits from that.
So the benefits are so vast. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you. That can help so much with the body's relaxation. It helps with physical healing. It helps with emotional healing, mental healing, psychological healing. I said mental, but all areas, right?
Thinking of
So,
Dave.
yeah. Yeah. So, and he's been on the table too, by the way, just so you know. It took him almost a year and a half for him to let me work on him because he was scared I was going to know something that he didn't want me to know, but because of all his awesome experiences in life. But when you get on the table, it's universal life force energy. So God flowing through you. This is what I tell everybody when I teach. Unfortunately, I'm a 4-time Reiki master and a shaman because I just kept, as a clinician, I kept going back trying to understand what was happening to me. So Reiki was my saving grace. It's great framework to actually hang a lot of this stuff on because I was like, wow, energetically, this is happening to me. And now I have framework to explain it and understand it. So we all have prana, chi, whatever flowing through us, or however you want to refer it, God, universal life force energy, whatever. It's flowing through you. When you touch another person with the intention to let that flow and you're setting that intention for the healing to occur and flow through you to the other person, it happens. It's like an energy diffusion almost. And the best thing about this, I know all these techniques for psychological treatment, behavioral treatment, emotional treatment. You don't have to know a thing except be a willing participant, be an open conduit. Just say yes to God, source, creator, all that is, what you believe in. And that universal energy is available to you. It's like a limitless bank account. I've seen some miraculous things happen on that table under my hands in the room with me, manifest stuff paranormally, supernaturally that you can't even describe. We manifested something so crazy Dave never even talked about it before, and he won't. I don't know. You have to ask him if he'll entertain talking about it.
Um, while we have Dave on, uh, while we've already thrown Dave out there,
We threw him under
um,
the bus, did we?
um, Dave. I love Dave. I love you. I love Dave. I love
I
you both.
love Dave too. See, we have
Um,
so much in common.
what do I want to say about Squatchy? I mentioned, but okay, this is okay. I got it right here. I thought maybe I didn't bring it to the table today. He posts this. He posted this last night on Facebook. He's celebrating Cinco de Mayo, and he shows a picture of his meal. And here he's
Hmm.
got nachos, massive shredded steak burrito, topped with red chili sauce and swamp sensation sauce. So when I'm reading that, I'm thinking to myself, if Serenity has done any squatching with Squatchy, um, by the time evening rolls around a little bit later, she's going to be wondering, did Sasquatch just walk in here? Is that Dave? Um, I know that's TMI, but um, I wanted to, I mentioned to him on the last show that if I came out there for the event, next year's event that you guys have there at the shops, I don't know if this is in your guys' plan, but I thought what a great event inside the event for me to marry you to.
Oh,
And if that doesn't happen, if I because I don't travel well, I even thought I could even do a paranormal ministry special episode and marry you guys live on air
wow.
one time. And I would make it simple. It would go something like Serenity, do you take Squatchy and all his Squatch castings to be your lawfully wedded? Squatchy, do you take the best thing that ever happened to you in your life to love and cherish for the rest of your life?
You
Um,
may have just gotten the job. You may have just gotten the job.
I think that would be very cool. I don't know. I'm not trying to push you guys into a particular direction, but
I was kind
if
of thinking Ireland, but
oh my god, well there, I know that Ireland
how do you
squashes me
travel?
right out of the way. Be, but we may be there together, and I'll tell you why. Uh, I I was planning this beautiful trip to Ireland, and I was going to take
Oh,
15, 20 people or so um, through May Hernan, and we had to cancel it because of COVID. We haven't. I've seen. She's talked to me about the new itinerary she may put together for my next trip to Ireland, and it may happen. It'll probably be a couple of years. But if it goes, who knows? You and Squatchy may be a part of that tour and come. It's not only is there going to be a lot of visiting sacred places and haunted places. We may even go to Lep Castle where May is a performer, and so is Shawn, who owns the castle. They're going to do a concert for us there. And then there's the Bloody Chapel upstairs. I was going to go up and possibly do a little mass up there, which I thought would create a lot of activity because there's something so horrible happened in the Bloody Chapel. But we were also going to do a lot of things that St. Patrick did, like go to his St. Patrick's bed, and I was going to take confessions there and perform some weddings and stuff. So it still may happen, and you two may go on that, and we could do that there. Yeah, that would be phenomenal. Can you imagine?
that would be awesome because Clan Sphinx. I'm not sure exactly what area they hail from in England, but or in Ireland, but he will let you know next time you talk to him.
Oh my gosh, that would be phenomenal. Whether it's at the shops or in Ireland or live on air, if you guys decide to go that route, keep me in mind.
You will be the
Uh,
first one we tell.
I see it. I see it possibly happening. Do you like that sort of thing with Dave? Do you guys ever investigate together or go out
Oh yeah.
squatching together?
So he has taken me squatching, and I will tell you, like one of the first times I brought him, he was in PA with me. I took him to this spring, and I said, I haven't seen a lot of squatches around here. I got my life saved by a squatch,
Oh my
actually.
gosh.
Want to hear that story?
You
Do you want
come on. What do you think the answer to that is going to be? Because I'll tell you something. I have a theory. Real quick, I'll
to?
throw it
Okay.
out there. There are far more male squatches than female squatches, and the squatches they're very they're like Latins, and I'm going to get hate mail for that. They like to keep their women, you stay here and watch over the young'uns because the young'uns are a handful. They're not like our young'uns. And they don't want them wandering off because there's a lot of competition for good squatch loving out there. So the
Hmm.
males don't want, the the other squatches to be around their females. They're very possessive over that. I know squatches love human females. I believe when the females go like you go out squatching, you get more activity because they come around. They feel, for lack of a better term, more attracted to our females than the males, and they tend to come around more. So I would love to hear that story. Lay it on me. I didn't even get to any of the questions today because I knew that was going to happen with you because I knew the conversation was going to take on a life of its own. But please, you got to share that story with me.
Okay, so here's the deal. I'm working swing shift at two different ambulance services. I'm in my early 20s. I worked at the police department at that time too as a dispatcher, and I also worked for 911. So I have like all these different part-time jobs, right? So I'm on 3 to 11 and then maybe back 7 to 3. I'm all over the place. So I drive down what was called Zoo Backstretch, which is in Fayette County. That was county that I worked in at the time. I had lived with a boyfriend and I was going back to his house. And on Zoo Backstretch, you can turn right off. Like there's a little pool out there. And when I pulled in, there's this big clump of hair. And this is way back. I had a geostorm. The clump of hair was bigger than my geostorm. I didn't know anything about Sasquatch then. I really didn't know anything about anything. I mean, I was 20 some years old. So I was like, well, I wonder why this big lump of hair is in the middle of the road. I hope it's not a bear. Right. And I had this god awful stench come through my car. And I remember looking down right and as I'm pulling in, my car is just dying. Like all the electromagnetic, everything is going to a low roar. And I was like, we had PageNet pagers. That's how old I am, folks. So we had PageNet pagers. I have no cell phone. If I did, it was a bag phone. It surely wasn't charged, and it was about that big. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm not too far from the house. I probably could walk, but I'm not getting out of the car with that big lump of hair. And I remember looking down and to the left on like the driver's side on my floor. And out of the right corner of my eye, I saw one leg. And that was all I saw, lumber off into the wilderness. I was so scared. I turned the car, boom, comes back on. I turned around. I didn't even know where I was at for about 10 minutes because I just drove. I was like, I don't even know what that was. I mean, I had no explanation. I didn't know Squatchy then. I didn't know anything about anything. And I drove all the way around the entire patch, only to find out that a little bit further down that road, there was a whole bunch of police cars and ambulances and all kind of, you couldn't see it because it was down in a hollow. There was a murder suicide and everybody thought it
Oh
was
no.
me because that's the way I went home from work. And I said, oh no, there's a big lump of hair in the road. So I went the other way like a crazy lunatic and drove all the way out of my way because I was so frightened. I didn't know what was going on. So had that happened, I mean, was that me? Could that have been me? Maybe, but
Yeah.
that's my Sasquatch encounter. Like,
Wow.
what the heck was that? And it smelled like, all the reports are, it's like rotten eggs. It's a sour, foul smell. It was, but I'll tell you one thing, it kept me from being at that place at that time. And I mean, I did go all the way out of my way and everybody was worried sick, but I'm like, I think I saw something weird. And of course, that we were all concerned for the people that had that happen to them and the family. It kind of got brushed off. And I met Squatchy. I'm like, so there was this one time. And he's like, holy crap. And I said, well, I don't really count that. He's like, why not? And, as a Native American, my teachings are they can be interdimensional gatekeepers as well. And there can be good, there can be bad, but that there's a lot of intergalactic travel, at least as far as my belief system and my experience, because I have a couple experiences like that too.
Incredible. I'm a big Sasquatch believer. Um, and I have Wyandotte Seneca indigenous blood flowing through my veins.
Yeah.
And I was offered, I worked a case on a reservation near here many, many years ago. And to thank me for that, they invited me to a sweat lodge session. And I believe the other session was like a vision quest type session. Maybe it was I don't believe it was a ghost dance session. I'll have to look at my notes again. But it was a great honor to be invited to both of these. I not only received that dream catcher hanging above me, but I also received the most beautiful smudging feather from the chief fan that you've ever seen in your life. But before this session started, and I'll throw it out there, I got nothing to hide. Yeah, I did some peyote. Um, they said you're going to see some things that you will never have imagined that existed before, and it's most of it'll be meant for you. The only thing we didn't invite to the session was the Sasquatch because we thought you really didn't think you'd be ready for that yet. And I didn't question nobody about it. I just, I'm wearing a loincloth. I'm crawling into a hut. I didn't even think nothing about it. And I started thinking about it many years later. Did that guy just tell me that they were ordinarily they would have invited Squatch to to come to this ceremony? I believe, and they're so close to the vest and tight-lipped about what happens on the res stays on the res.
Mm-hmm.
Vegas stole that from them. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But I believe they are mainly around the indigenous
Mm-hmm.
because on these reservations, they're safe. And I believe that they probably interact with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're just there's another species, like we're a species. They're just different. But I agree with you too. There's so much about them that we don't know yet. Interdimensional travel, um, being able to mesmerize you to where I've had people realize many years later that they had an encounter, but when they had the encounter, they don't even remember that they had the encounter. But when they had the vision of it, Sasquatch was telling them, "You don't see me."
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe we're going to find out what that's all about one day, and
Oh
I'm so
yeah.
glad to hear that you go and do that. And
Yeah. I'm the therapist for a lot of experiencers too. Like that's the other part of my vocation and my training, traditionally is a therapist. And I'm the therapist that I'm a near death survivor. I'm a psychic. I'm a medium. I'm a shaman. I do all this stuff. I see these amazing, miraculous things happen. And when people have experiences, they're not afraid to come and tell me because they already know I'm weird. So they're like, oh, thank Jesus. Like she's going to know that it's okay to talk about Sasquatch. It's okay to talk about your spirit guides. It's okay. And I always say, are the voices telling you to hurt yourself or anybody else? We got to start somewhere. But we've had a lot of clinicians recently and our police departments and our ER staff come in and ask to be educated because you can't shoot a demon. You can't, they don't have an adequate skill set. Even as clinicians, a lot of this is mental health symptomology caused by the attachment. Once we remove the attachment, that's why the medicine's not working because it's not a mental illness. It is an attachment.
that is another. Yeah, I could go on and on and on. You and I could do a series on that because I do believe so many people that are locked away in these places, and I've had people that work with them tell me a lot of these people are possessed. They're not.
Absolutely.
They don't really, and some of them truly do have been clinically diagnosed, and they do have issues, but
Mm-hmm.
that makes them a target too, and opens them up, and they can still have demonic attachments and spirit attachments and still be, have mental disorders.
Yeah.
Before we run out of time, please tell people both you've got two beautiful Facebook pages, two beautiful websites, a wonderful book. Make sure everybody knows about all that stuff.
Okay, so you can get my book at Amazon.com. It's unapologetically authentic. You can find me at serenityjenny.com or synergysprings.com. Synergy Springs is getting a little bit of an upgrade. Our PA location's relocating. Our Richwood, West Virginia location is up and running. We have this awesome event tomorrow. It's on one of the pages, maybe even Dave Spinks World of Weird and Synergy Springs LLC. And send me a message. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm getting a little bit more active on Instagram. I got knocked off of social media last year for being too positive. So I knew I was doing a good job. I was pretty proud of myself. So that's why I have the two Facebook pages. Because if I put my real name on anything, they tend to shut me up. So I get louder. And, if you want to get a session, if you need something, if you have questions, let me know. If I can not find the answer for you, I will find someone who can.
Very, very cool. That is so wonderful. Oh my gosh. I have so much more I want to talk to you about. And I know that if I jump into the deep end without my floaties on, we're just going to run out of time. I am not going to. I want to apologize to everybody that sent me in questions for you because we didn't get to them. Um, I'm going to hold on to that because I'm going to want you back. I'll see if I can get you and Squatchy together
I think I can
on one
arrange that.
show. And I don't know what else I want to tell you other than you look so pretty today. I love you. I respect you. You and Dave are just two of the. I wish there was far more people in this, whatever you want to call this thing of ours is, like you and Dave. Um, and I just, I'm just so glad that you had an hour out of your busy Friday to spend with me and my viewers. I want you to please give your son a big hug and a kiss for me. Give Dave a big hug and a kiss for me. Um, have a wonderful Mother's Day.
Thank you.
And
I
I'm
absolutely will.
I just know I just have this feeling about you that we've known each other before we met.
Probably in our Celtic days, I would say.
Yeah.
That's what I feel. I think that's a whole show in and of itself.
I'm going to start working on the next time I'm going to have you on. I'll probably, to be honest with you, I'm probably going to have you on a couple of more times before I even get Squatchy back. Because there's, like I said, I didn't even look at any of the questions. Oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed I didn't get to any of them.
We got to the
Um,
near death one. We did get to the near death one.
you and I also learned something today that the next time I have you on, I'm just gonna throw a topic at you. I'm gonna take off the headphones. I'm gonna lean back. I'm gonna relax and just listen to you for an hour because you've got so much to offer and so much to share. Very cool. We didn't even get to how you smudge a home because I get that's probably one of the top questions I get from people. And I've got some places I use the smudge, some places I use the incenses. I know you probably have whatever it is you do. I've heard it's phenomenal, and
Aw,
you're just talented and special. So just
thank you.
keep doing what it is you do, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And I will be in touch.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on, and blessings to you as well.
Thank you. Good night. I'll talk to you
Good
soon.
night.
Yeah, I'm going to get her and Squatchy back, but I'm going to have her back a couple of times. I apologize, guys. Here's the list. Here's the list. I didn't get to any of the questions you guys sent in. I'm sorry. I got so involved in listening to Serenity speaking. And that's why you guys tuned in anyway, so you can't be too mad at me. I will be here next week with another all new show, Friday the 13th, and a great guest. She's an Earth Angel. Speaking of guardian angels, Sharon Wozniak Lennon will be here next Friday the 13th. You guys are going to love her. Thank you all for tuning in. Happy Mother's Day to each and every one of you. Stay blessed. Have a blessed week. Have a blessed weekend. Stop the violence. Stop the anger. Thank you all for tuning in. I don't have a show without you guys. Thank you to Things Network. Thank you to Skeleton Key Network. Thank you to Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment. And thank you to Pact Podcasting for All Coming Together channel for all of you simulcasting my show. On that note, good night, Danny. Good night, Dog. Good night, Jack. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. God bless each and every one of you. I love you all. Peace.